Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to Dope Interviews, brought to you by the Mighty 19 Media Group. I'm your host, Warren Shaw. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We have a jam-packed show. So excited about today's guest. But before we get there, as always, got to ask you to rate, review, subscribe, hit up Everything 19 Media Group. Make sure you're giving Dope Interviews a 5-star rating, and make sure you clicking that subscribe button on our YouTube channel as well. Shout out to Rich Kid Clothing for their continued support of the 19 Media brand, especially on our YouTube platform. Here on Dope Interviews and the 19 Media Group platform, you know what it is. We are huge fans of the great TV series The Wire, and I got to get to today's guest. She is an improviser, voiceover specialist, funny girl that can turn on a dime. She played the role of De'Londa Brice on The Wire. It's Sandi McCree. Sandi, welcome to Dope Interviews.
Oh, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me. Me, especially including me. A part of the Wire family.
Well, I think we're definitely going to get to all that. And you have, to me, in a lot of ways, kind of an iconic character who doesn't fit even your personality, so to speak. Like, you're so different from the character you portrayed on that. But, you know, before we get to The Wire and here on Dope Interviews, we love to kind of start from the beginning. And it would be it'd be loose of me, if you will, if I didn't ask you just kind of like what got you into acting and kind of just like what brought you into this space together to want to pursue a career in entertainment.
What got me into a church?
Word.
Doing, the church, back in the day, the church Christmas plays, the plays, kindergarten, having the lead as Chicken Little and Mrs. Lander's kindergarten class. I'll never forget. There are moments in life as I realize as I'm getting older that I can just still feel in my skin, just still just recall. And I think, those moments of performance as a young child, that power, that empowering that teachers and people they give you, and it just changes the rest of your life. So it's something I wanted to do. The parents didn't want me to go into this growing up in DC. They wanted me to get a good government job.
Right.
But God had other plans.
So, you mentioned that other plans and you continue to pursue, this path, if you will. Can you talk a little bit about what was your inspiration to pursue this path? And you do a lot of work helping others now as well, too. So kind of where does that foundation stem from in your own personal life?
So there's two questions there. I think first, just knowing that I wanted to perform and I didn't know how that was going to look. I still don't know how it's looking because I'm still in the grit of it. I'm still on this grind. I'm not a series regular on anything. And I mean, that's my dream. I would love to be in a movie franchise and have a dope animation character because I love anime. So, so the work that I have been blessed to have, especially The Wire, because it did put me on the map and it did bring me here to LA. And it just came as far as just a miracle. It came as a miracle, the story of me landing that particular role. And I've always been taught that, life is not promised tomorrow. You have to give, you have to pay it forward. So it's like, and I, again, learning from others, like, what did I accomplish today? What is my take-home pay? Who did I give a smile to? Who did I coach and empower? So I just live life and not take it for granted, not one moment for granted.
So, as you touched on that, I mean, being that type of person is something that not everybody can say or can say that like that's what they believe, and wanting to even put a smile on someone's face, just see how you help somebody in some ways. And, as I was joking here, like really and truly, your character on The Wire was very self-serving. Like it really not, you know what I mean, wasn't this nurturer, you know, that I think that we get a lot of times when it comes to, you know, being mom or portraying a mom on television. So it's really interesting that your personal pursuits are just so different from the character you played on that show. Did you find any irony in that when you were in the role of De'Londa on The Wire?
Getting the role first, because The Wire was this this thing that was so much bigger than I knew. And when I um, was introduced to the role, I still did not know the magnitude and the power of this show. I just know as an actor, because I, you know, had just gotten an MFA and studying acting and constantly studying and training all my life. I knew that I needed to put the work in. So the work came through the research of the show. And then it's like, oh, okay, how do I embody and become this person? Like, which is an interesting story of how she came about.
Well,
I,
let's
I'm
let's
sure I'm sure you heard it before.
Well, no, I mean, and even if I have, I'd like our fans and listeners to kind of tap into that, you know, aspect of as well too. Because anytime I get an opportunity to talk to somebody who's in this space, and one of the funniest things I always hear about TV specifically is a lot of times people don't read for the part they ultimately landed, or that wasn't the part they ultimately went in for, and then they come back for a second or third time, and all right, things kind of shift and change. And I even saw something about a lot of the Wire actors. Yeah, you know, I think it was Detective Carver was supposed to be. What you call it? Sorry, Lance Reddick's character, or whatever the case may be. So I was like, what? That's, you know, that's wild. Oh, he's supposed to be Stringer, something like that. And I was like, yo, when you see it from that lens, it's a little wild, right? But you know, I want to hear your story. So, you know, how did the character come to you?
Well, first, I was living in Ohio at the time, but I when I was in DC living, I would send out postcards to casting directors and um, go on every audition. I mean, it would be a musical. I would try to get an audition for a musical. I can't sing, but I would just go and just do the best that I could. And I was in Ohio, and one of the postcards landed on the desk of Pat Moran casting, and I wasn't living there. I was living in Ohio. My mom called and said, um, "I have your mail. When I come visit, I'm gonna bring your mail." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And she also said, "Your phone calls. People have been calling," and I was looking for, long story short, I was applying to be a flight attendant so I could fly to different theaters in the country to audition, you know, in Chicago, and I was spending money, you know. So I said, I'll become a flight attendant and then I could go places to audition. And so I was waiting for my plane tickets for for Southwest. Well, anyway, long story short, my mother had said HBO something regarding The Wire for an audition, and I had missed the date,
Oh,
and I was devastated. And it wasn't devastated for The Wire; it's devastated because she said HBO, and Lord knows, you know, the power of that network. So
yeah, that's the
I,
bag.
yeah, I cried and I got on my knees and prayed, and I said, Lord, please give me another opportunity. And lo and behold, maybe a month later, because the audition was for Glenn Turman's secretary, if you remember that storyline.
Mm.
Glad I didn't have to. I did not get to audition for that role, and I'm sure I would have landed it, but I did not get that opportunity because I love Glenn. Um, and this role came around, and it's supposed to be, I think, just one episode. And I called immediately, and they're like, can you be here on Friday? And I was like, yeah. It was Wednesday. I was in Cincinnati, shooting a commercial or something. And I drove back, packed, and flew to DC and made it to the audition. Boop. Went in there, did my thing, didn't think anything of it. And I had called a roommate because I was trying to go to Blockbuster to find the Wire VHS tapes, anything
Wow.
that I could find, because there wasn't like on demand. Everything was sold out. Everything The Wire was like just hard to get.
Hmm.
And I was going over the lines with my roommate, and I said, "What is this thing about this fish with this weebay? What is this fish thing?" And they were like, "Oh, fish are like drug runners. They're talking about that's all the fish, they in there." I said, "Yeah, that makes real good sense." Yeah. And I was like, this character is just so hard. And I was working with kids in Cleveland, and I had this kid. If you haven't heard the story, I had this kid. Um, I was working with this youth who were challenged and had some run-ins with the law, and I had a girls group. And this kid came in one day, and she had earrings that said "bitch" in each ear. And I said, "You know what? I would rather you not wear those." And they're young kids. I would not. I would rather you not wear those. Can you take them out? And she said no, because her mother gave them to her and she wasn't taking them out. And I
Wow.
said, "Well, call your mother. I'm gonna ask her to come up here because would rather you take him out. This is an empowering group, positive, and I just want you to take your bitch earrings out." And so her mother came up there and was pissed that I called her up there, and
Uh-huh.
she's like, "What?" And I said, "This group is about empowering these young women, and I want them to be positive queens that they are." And she said, "They 14 karat gold." But I was like, "Okay," but I was like, I'm not comfortable with bitch. And she said, "Well, she ain't nothing but a bitch. She a little bitch.
Oh, snap.
Just take the earrings out. She don't want the earrings in, and give them to me. That's all she is a little bitch." And I was like, "Oh, I have opened a can of worms." But the little girl around her, when she wasn't around her mother, she was this. When her mother came, her spirit was just lost.
Mm.
And she took them out, and all her power left her, of that power, or that empower she felt. And I was telling her mother, I said, "We're trying to teach about love and healthy touch and respect." And I said, "We got to hug our daughters. We got to hug." And she said, "I ain't hugging her. I ain't no damn lesbian."
Wow.
And that's where De'Londa came from. Because I
From
had
real life
never
experience.
in my life seen a woman like that.
No.
And I said, "I'm not a lesbian either, ma'am, but do you mind if I hug your daughter?" And that little girl, just to see her in my group every day, it was just this thing, because I knew who she went home to. And her mom was lost. I don't know where they are now, but that's where De'Londa came from, because I don't know who raised the mom or whose fault it was, but that's who that woman was.
Wow.
But the daughter didn't have to be the same to me.
Nah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that story, and that's something that I think, that you're able to, that you're able to draw from a real life situation, as unfortunate as it was, then to put it
Uh-huh.
into art. Yeah, and I mean, in the great series that was The Wire. And again, you played that role. I think it's one of the things, and I mean, with the utmost respect, you were not a likable person. Your character was not a likable character. That means you acted the hell out of it. Yeah,
And
and I
and
mean,
and 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 again, that girl's mother, I wanted to hate on her. I wanted to, ugh, but I'm like, she's somebody's daughter too that got
facts.
lost. So going into the why, I had to love De'Londa. I had to love who I was and know what my story was. And I had this whole backstory of how I became that hard, and why I had to love and be the soldier that Wee-Bey needed me to be,
Hmm.
and raise our son with the strength that he needed, even though It didn't work. So
Yeah. Nah. We're chatting with Sandi McCree. Make sure you're following her on social media at Sandi McCree. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Bonafide.
And we're back chatting with the wonderful and talented Sandi McCree. Sandi, great story here of kind of perseverance and trying to transform something that happened in your real life, and then, like I said, turning it into art. But I'm really touched by that story in a lot of ways too. And one of the things that we were doing here on the 19 Media Group family and through Dope Interviews as well too is our overall conversations on the wire. And I want to run you through a couple of questions that we asked our own staff members and people who are lovers of the show, and just kind of see where you land on this as well too. All right. So this isn't necessarily going to be rapid fire, so to speak, but definitely want to hear your thoughts because you were there, you know what I mean? And things like that too. So one of the questions though is, you obviously played a character on the series, but is there another character who you feel is more relatable to you as a person?
I would say Prez. I would say the teacher.
Prez Lucy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Really?
I mean, he had an interesting character arc.
Yeah.
As by the end, he was so helpful, and he really cared about those kids.
He cared. The love that he had. I mean, in the challenge, I was feeling for him, and I sub a lot as an actor. I've had numerous jobs. My path has been detours and U-turns and stops, but I'm still forging ahead. But to teach. And I had a kid when I was in Ohio at a middle school for a long period of time. This kid would come in late. And I was like, you got to get her early, whatever. And one of the kids pulled me to the side, and everybody called me Miss Sandi. They still do. Miss Sandi, he's homeless. And it messed me up because that was just my first experience. And this was before The Wire. Yeah. And when he would come in, but he would come every day. And I didn't care what time he got there. And I was just like, I stay after school. I need to talk to you. Want to give him resources, empower him. Nobody has to know, but just wanted to make sure. And he's a big old, tall, handsome boy that he had everything to do, like no shame that, that I had his back.
What's up?
Yeah.
No. Okay. So let's go to the next one. And this will be a little bit of a two-parter. All right. And I'm going to see if you're going to say what I think you're going to say. So first of all, first question is the favorite scene you were actually in. What's your favorite scene, as De'Londa on The Wire?
You think you know?
I mean, but go for it. No, you tell me.
It's a scene that never got in.
Oh, snap. Okay, well then I don't know, obviously. So let's go for it.
There's a scene, and I want to think. I think I forgot who's directing. It might have been David Platt. I don't know the director. I think it was him because I was mad because I was like, what happened to that scene where they had me bring drugs into Weebay and we kiss, and it was like the drugs is going into his mouth.
Yeah. And they cut that out?
Yeah, it was never in there. That whole little storyline was not in there. Yeah, I was like, okay, we're gonna kiss, or my mouths are gonna touch each other. And I'm like, good at stage kiss. I'm good at this, and it was a good one. It was a good stage one. It wasn't no hanky panky.
I feel you.
But Hassan took had a little moment.
No hanky panky. You still put it on him though. I feel you.
Yeah, professional back where we were safe. Yeah, it was. You. But other than that, the smack scene. When I smacked Halito, because I said, Halito, I'm gonna make contact, but it's not gonna be, you're professional. you know, but and it was almost a one take, and Helito's eyes, when those tears rolled up into his eyes, and I
Yeah,
just had to breathe and hold that moment. Um,
good
yeah.
stuff.
You
Nah,
thought I was gonna say the stoop scene.
no, I thought you're gonna say the scene with Hassan. You know, when you have to let Neiman go. You
Oh,
know what I
that
mean? He's
one?
like, yeah. He's
Yeah.
like, you gonna let that boy go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because yeah, I thought that was extremely poignant as well, too. Was such an interesting again character art, even for Weebay himself, too, for what he was doing. He's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like Hassan is amazing. And obviously I thought the chemistry that you two had in that specific scene was something that stuck out to me. But I was wrong. So, you know, I can admit that. That's what's up.
But that scene, another favorite scene too, when the first takes of it, tears were pouring down my face
Hmm.
when he said it, and they were like, "Nah,
Oh, you
she
gotta be
ain't."
too hard.
Yeah, they're like, "She wouldn't be crying." They're like, "Nah." So suck all that back up. Yeah, because it was just like, yeah, because I'm like, I'm gonna be by myself, and he's here. I'm not gonna have no money.
Yes.
Yeah,
Man, you know, Weebay took them years, man. He took a lot of years. So
yeah.
you're right about that. So what do you feel was the overall message of the show? Like it touched on so many things throughout the course of the 5 seasons.
Uh-huh.
But you know, what do you think? What did you get out of it? Let's maybe start there.
Just growing up in DC, in the city, DC proper, um, near Howard University, and um, knowing DC, I could have been, as a teenager, when I got my license, I could have been a taxi driver from
Hmm.
Southeast to Southwest to Northwest, and knowing the inner city, really knowing the inner city, um, and the government, and knowing that, like, just the truth and the power, the inner workings and the power of whether it's a neighborhood, the community, but they are all connected. And I think that's the message. And it's that heartbeat. It's that
Yeah.
heartbeat um of the people, for my episode, from my season, the heartbeat of those children, and what's going to become of in the lives of these children, um and the just law enforcement. I mean, still,
That part. Yeah.
yeah, it's just the humanness. This, I don't know, I can't put it into words, because I just feel overwhelmed, because I feel that we are still in that place somewhat.
No, I agree with you 100%. You know, and I think it's one of the quotes from one of the shows that I utilize in my day-to-day life all the time is like all the pieces matter, really and truly. And I think
Yeah.
everything that the show tried to accomplish by tackling so many different issues, and you really kind of see when it all concluded, all the pieces didn't matter. Everybody played a part in the ecosystem, good, bad, or indifferent. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think that's, really, really extremely poignant to it as well. I got to ask you this question though, before I let you get out of here, and um, would you be interested in seeing any type of prequel, extended extension of the original story, or a spin-off of some sort, or whatever the case may be, because I think there's a lot of interest, I mean, in the show and the story and in that of itself too. And a couple of people can, oh, should there be like a Stringer and Avon like prequel, what the case to be? And obviously we would play a big part of that. You could play a big part of that as well too. You know what I mean? Is there that, or was it just better to let sleeping dogs lie? It had its run, and no reason to kind of do anything else to kind of add on to the story.
Um, and this is just for me personally. I was blessed with having a pivotal recurring role, because I think I was only supposed to do one, maybe two, and I think I got seven out of 13 episodes in that season 4. And looking at where Weebay, what happened to Weebay, looking at Naaman's life. What about De'Londa? I had another story for her that everything went down and she wanted to survive and she started just playing a snitch per se and went into witness protection and just became this other person. So yeah, I want that story.
Well, let's hit up David Simon and company and let's get that.
We would never write that. Never.
Never say never. Never say never. But sometimes you gotta master your own destiny. So you know what? Yeah. Let's go ahead and make that happen. We're chatting with Sandi McCree, who played the great character De'Londa Brice on The Wire. Before we let you get out of here, Sandi, kind of like what's next for you? What projects are you working on? And tell the people where they can find you.
I have been on the road during COVID a little bit with my friend Retta. After Good Girl, she's been hosting The Ugliest House in America. So I got to play with her a little bit, and I was a talent coordinator on that show. And while we were out for the second season that just aired, Wanda Sykes called me, and I have to tell you this story another day. Well, anyway, we were in Flagstaff, Arizona. I needed to get to Phoenix to make the table read. I hitchhiked because there was no rental cars, no rentals. Couldn't get. I know Jesus is right. To make this table read for her, they ended up giving me a role, a part in this History of the World Part 2. I can't wait to see it. And I flew back to shoot that not long ago, so that'll be coming up this year. And yeah, and I'm performing at the Groundlings Theater, doing a lot of improv. I performed last week and performing this Thursday. So they are constantly having me as a guest, and I'm grateful for that. And just on this grind voiceovers, and just trying to book the next series or franchise, but whatever God sends my way, I'm going to do it justice.
Well, I have no doubt about that. And if you got Wanda, man, she's got a pretty good show there on Netflix right now with The Upshaws. Love to see you.
The Upshaws. Oh my gosh. And Gabrielle, and oh my gosh, everybody on there. Mike Epps is just a genius.
Yeah, I'd love to see you on that joint. I think, what I mean, you come in as like, Wanda's friend or something, like whatever. I don't know. They can figure that part of it out. But
I auditioned for it and I did not. I had a horrible audition.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah. But Kim is killing it. I mean, she's a veteran. She's killing it. She's
a G.
Oh God. But I would love, Wanda's friend. So let's put that out there. I'm gonna text Wanda and tell her. Yeah.
Listen, I don't know her like that, but I'll hit her up on social media. Be like, yo, get my dog Sandi in that joint. Yeah. You know what I mean? I appreciate it. Yeah, that is all the time we have here today. Again, I'm Warren Shaw. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at ShawSportsNBA. Make sure you're following the show as well too at @dope_interviews. I want to thank my special guest Sandi McCree for all her great musings, all the great information, behind the scenes look, and her just overall spirit for blessing us here on Dope Interviews. Make sure you're following her at Sandi McCree on all her socials as well too. Keep rewatching The Wire. You know what I mean? And supporting all her work. Make sure you're catching her out on tour as well too. You know what it is. This has been another Dope Interview, and we're out.
Together we stand, divided we never. The vision is one, striving for the better. Working as a team, working toward a dream. It's not even work when the team is the dream. On a united front, we got our own back. A band of brothers to counteract any attack. One heart in fact, forget what the blood say. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA. So let's do it for the love, give to the max. Listen to opinion, but react to facts. And remember that together with a shh, but separate, just pieces of it. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA.
Family represent like a tree with names on it. We're free, no chains on it. Relieved, the pain's gone, I can see. We come together like questions on the quiz. Mojo Flow and Viz, man, you know what it is. And if ignorance is bliss, you're gonna hate this lesson. Organized intellect like a tropical depression. My symbol is the cross, a mic and ghost peppers. Cause I'm just a black sheep growing up to be a shepherd. Moonlighting as a weapon to protect the children. Every brother is a father, dynasties we're building. Max, J and K, Bay, and Isaiah, next level of the family foundation, understand me?